Female bodybuilders and fitness influencers command the spotlight with sculpted bodies, massive followings, and ironclad confidence. But behind every flawless post, unseen battles were tearing many of them apart.
Bodybuilder Jodie Vance has died at just 20 years old after suffering a fatal heart attack.
Let's expose the untold tragedies of those who vanished in 2025. Some faded away in the dead of night. Others left families reaching for answers. With each sudden loss comes a haunting question. What hidden pain could conquer even the strongest bodybuilders and fitness influencers? Number 8. Jodie Vance. Jodie Vance didn't believe in holding back. At just 20 years old and about 138 pounds, she juggled a degree in sports and exercise science at West Texas A&M with early morning coaching sessions that often kept her dorm room lights glowing past midnight. Everyone around her knew she was special. They'd watch her knock out 300-pound hip thrusts like it was nothing, and swear she'd be on a national stage before her 23rd birthday. So when she headed to Columbus, Ohio in February, it wasn't to compete. It was just another day in the life of a rising star. She went to support 2 of her athletes at the Arnold Sports Festival, a massive event that brings in nearly 20,000 fans every year at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. But on the morning of February 27th, things went horribly wrong. Staff at the Sonesta Columbus downtown, just a quarter-mile from the venue, found Jodie collapsed on the floor, vomiting and too weak to stand. Paramedics rushed her the half-mile to Grant Medical Center. By 12:51 in the afternoon, her heart had stopped. It didn't take long for her coach, Justin Mihaly, to confirm what emergency room doctors feared. To maintain that ultra-lean, stage-dry look during the event, Jodie had secretly taken 2 strong, fat-cutting compounds. One was a stimulant based on clenbuterol, and the other was a diuretic that's infamous for raising core body temperature fast. Combined with her strict water restriction, the result was deadly. Experts say losing even 2 to 3% of your body weight in fluids within 24 hours thickens your blood, making your heart pump harder just to get oxygen where it's needed. And it gets worse. Studies show that for every 1% of fluid lost beyond that point, your heart rate can jump by about 3 beats per minute. Now, throw in hot lights, thick crowds, and a packed expo hall, and the stress on the body skyrockets. People at the scene said Jodie had been throwing up all morning, but refused to leave. "The girls need me," she told them. Her family broke the heartbreaking news days later on her Instagram, calling her death sudden and unexpected. They begged young athletes to listen to their bodies, drink, rest, and hear the whispers before they turn into screams. Back at West Texas A&M, classmates covered the gym chalkboard with her motto, "Outwork and outlove everyone." Mihaly has since launched a scholarship in her name for female lifters who choose to compete drug-free at the NPC Battle of Texas, the same stage where Jodie had wowed judges just 3 months before in December 2024. Jodie didn't leave behind medals. She left behind a message, measured in heartbeats, sweat, and loss. When water dips too low and the body keeps pushing, the result can be fatal. Number 7. Gloria Zamora.
Hi guys, Gloria here. I am at Zoo Culture today. Come with me and get this great workout in. Come on, let's go.
Gloria Zamora lived every day like a back-to-back workout set. No breaks, no excuses. She raised 7 kids, coached hundreds of women through quick 30-minute HT sessions, and still found time to host her upbeat podcast, Horizon.
Welcome to episode 20th of Horizon Podcast,
which built a loyal Instagram following of more than 150,000. Born in Texas, Gloria moved to Southern California in 2023, where she started filming early morning burpee challenges right off the Pacific Coast Highway. Her message was always the same: own your power, even in chaos. Just days before her death, she shared on her show that she finally felt strong enough to start dating again after filing for divorce from her second husband. But that fresh chapter ended suddenly on Saturday, June 21st, 2025. Around 9:30 at night, Gloria and her friend and business partner, 43-year-old Hector Garduno, were finishing dinner at a sushi spot on Summit Avenue in Fontana, about 50 miles east of downtown Los Angeles. As they stepped into the parking lot, a gray Nissan Titan sped in. The driver jumped out with a 9mm handgun and opened fire. The shooter was Gloria's estranged husband, 45-year-old Thomas Alberto Tamayo Lizarraga. Police later confirmed he had used a shared family tracking app to find her location, driving more than an hour from Riverside County. He first shot Hector, then turned the gun on Gloria at close range. As he tried to flee, an off-duty San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy, who happened to be nearby, stepped in. He pulled his service weapon, ordered Lizarraga to drop the gun, but Lizarraga raised it instead. The deputy fired 3 rounds, killing him instantly.
County Sheriff's Department deputy was in the area. He witnessed the entire shooting incident unfold, and he confronted the shooter.
Gloria and Hector were rushed to Kaiser Permanente Fontana Medical Center, just under 3 miles away. But despite every effort, both were pronounced dead within 40 minutes. Between them, they left behind 11 children, 7 from Gloria, ranging in age from 8 to 24, and 4 from Hector, between 6 and 17 years old.
Fitness influencer is among 3 dead. Police say she was shot and killed by her estranged husband.
Their families set up 2 GoFundMe pages that quickly passed $110,000 in donations. Messages flooded in, notes like, "Your mom taught me lunges on TikTok at midnight," and "Coach Hector made me believe dads can be fit too." Experts on domestic violence say the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is right after someone leaves. In fact, the Bureau of Justice Statistics reports that nearly half of all intimate partner homicides in the United States happen within the first 3 months of separation. Just in 2024, California saw 166 of those killings. Fontana police pointed to that number while encouraging anyone at risk to call the 24-hour national hotline at 800-799-SAFE. Gloria's final post, filmed just 36 hours before the shooting, shows her lifting a 50-pound dumbbell overhead, smiling as she says, "Strong feels like freedom." Her oldest daughter, Jaslyn, now plans to turn those words into something lasting: a scholarship that helps single mothers in San Bernardino County pay for gym memberships. Number 6. Zunilda Hyos Menddees. Zunilda Hyos Menddees had 2 nicknames that followed her everywhere: Amy Muscle online and She-Hulk on stage. But to those who knew her best, she was simply the smiling 43-year-old Colombian woman who could light up any weight room she walked into. She first made waves in 2021, taking 2nd place at the NPC Worldwide Latin American Championships.
Zunilda Amy Hyos Menddees. This is a renowned Colombian bodybuilder, affectionately known as...
From there, she climbed fast, earning medals across Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil, and eventually locking in her IFBB Pro card. By the summer of 2025, she weighed about 170 pounds of solid muscle and was only 17 days away from her first European Pro competition in Portugal. Her coach, Brandon Ray, was certain she'd land in the top 10 in the world. She and her husband, Jared Gelling, a 46-year-old American Colombian, were living in Dubai at the time. But they traveled to Costa del Sol, Spain, so she could help him recover from knee surgery. According to her niece, Eulaidis, Zunilda had a plan: care for him until he healed, compete in Portugal, and then head back to Colombia alone to file for divorce. She had told close friends she could no longer ignore his growing rage. On June 14th, Zunilda stopped answering calls and texts. Concerned, a friend from the gym reported her missing. 5 days later, on Thursday, June 19th, around 1:45 in the afternoon, police entered their rental villa in Fuengirola, about 30 miles southwest of Malaga. What they found was horrifying. Zunilda had been beaten to death with a household hammer. Her husband, Jared, was found in the bathroom with knife wounds, which investigators later confirmed were self-inflicted. Police are treating the case as gender-based homicide, Spain's legal term for intimate partner femicide.
How much does that factor into whether or not this was and if he ultimately did it, a premeditated attack?
It was already the 5th such case reported in Andalusia that year. Tributes flooded in almost immediately. Her coach posted a photo of her practicing a side chest pose with the caption, "We were about to shock the world. Domestic violence stole that chance." Fellow bodybuilder Behnaz Azar described her as the gentlest heart in a titanium frame. Fans shared clips of Zunilda deadlifting more than 400 pounds. Even though Jared didn't survive, Spanish prosecutors will still pursue the case. This helps keep records clear and honors victims like Zunilda, especially in a country where over 40 women are killed each year by current or former partners. Activists also point out that migrant women often avoid reporting abuse, which means warning signs rarely surface until it's too late. Zunilda never made it to the stage in Portugal. Her dream of earning that emerald green pro card ended in a Spanish villa. The weapon that took her life weighed just 2 pounds, but the heartbreak it left behind weighs far more. Her legacy lives on, not just through gym speakers blasting her walkout song, but through the message she leaves behind. Train hard, love harder, and always, always recognize the red flags before it's too late. Number 5. Christina Bitner. Christina Bitner lived in a world where buttercream and biceps belonged in the same sentence. Born on July 10, 1984 in San Antonio, she grew into a 5'3" powerhouse who could pull a 300-pound deadlift before sunrise, then spend her afternoon piping perfect roses onto wedding cakes. She made a name for herself as Weights and Cakes, and in 2017, she earned her IFBB Women's Physique Pro card. By 2021, she had placed 11th at the Puerto Rico Pro and 8th at Europa Phoenix. But after that, she stepped away from the stage, not to slow down, but to build a life around family and the cake business she had grown with her own hands. She and her husband, Brent, lived in a cedar-framed house just outside tiny Mico, Texas, a town with only about 200 people. Together, they raised their daughter, Emily, who was 5, and helped guide Brent's 4 other kids through everything from homework to squat form. Christina filmed her frosting tutorials in a little 32-square-foot corner of their garage gym. Most videos ended with her knocking out a set of pull-ups, and her followers loved every second of it. By July of 2025, she had over 95,000 fans on Instagram. That growth led to deals with brands like Pride Foods, and even a guest spot on the San Antonio Spurs' podcast, where she laughed and said, "Cake macros count if you squat low enough."
Can I get a video of you? Can I get a video of you for YouTube?
Just 3 days after turning 41, with a carousel-themed birthday cake, of course, Christina sent a text to a friend saying she felt weirdly lightheaded. She blamed it on the heat. That Saturday, the temperature in Texas had climbed past 102 degrees Fahrenheit, so she decided to sleep it off. The next morning, July 13th, Brent found her unresponsive. Emergency responders from Medina County Precinct 4 got there quickly, but they couldn't bring her back. She was pronounced dead at 8:15 a.m. Though an autopsy was ordered, Texas law protects medical records unless the family allows them to be released, so her official cause of death still hasn't been made public. As the news spread, the tributes came pouring in. Her friend, IFBB figure pro Natalie Prescott, wrote, "You lifted us higher than any barbell." Janet Bloodworth, a women's physique competitor, remembered how Christina once handed her a slice of strawberry shortcake backstage, saying, "Carbs calm nerves." Even Generation Iron paused its usual Olympia coverage to post a video of Christina pressing 205 pounds in slow motion with the caption, "Kindness personified, strength quantified." Her obituary showed an even fuller picture. Christina led the kids' church on Sundays, volunteered at the San Antonio Food Bank every month, and saw her 600-square-foot garage gym as a space to build not just bodies, but confidence. She even asked that any memorial donations go to a local anti-hunger charity instead of contest funds. Her celebration of life, held on July 22nd, drew more than 300 people. The pews were filled with lifters wearing black sleeveless shirts, dusted with powdered sugar. In a sport that's obsessed with numbers, how much weight you lift, how many calories you cut, Christina left behind something much more meaningful. Number 4. Cynthia James. For over 30 years, Cynthia C.J. James built a name that sparkled just as brightly as the rhinestones she stitched into thousands of tiny competition bikinis. Born in 1971, she first stepped on stage in the mid-90s, sculpting her 135-pound frame into the kind of symmetry that earned her an IFBB Pro card. But it wasn't just her physique that left a mark on the bodybuilding world. It was her unmatched eye for detail and her magic with a sewing machine. In 1996, working out of a one-car garage in Las Vegas, she launched CJ's elite competition suits. Her hand-sewn, crystal-covered suits, most weighing barely 2 pounds, quickly became the gold standard, worn by legends like 7-time Mr. Olympia Phil Heath and Dexter the Blade Jackson. While her creations were winning on stage, CJ kept competing too. Well into her late 40s, she held top 5 placements at pro shows before stepping into an even more respected role, judging. One of the few women trusted to score both NPC Amateur and IFBB Pro events, she could quote the rulebook word for word and still spot a crooked seam from across the stage. Friends like to joke that if you couldn't find your athlete number, CJ probably had it tucked somewhere between fabric swatches. In late 2024, that non-stop pace finally caught up to her. After returning from Orlando, where she had judged the NPC Nationals in December, CJ came down with a tough case of pneumonia. It quickly led to congestive heart failure. Doctors were able to drain the fluid around her heart, but the illness left her drained. Just walking across the 33,000-square-foot Las Vegas Convention Center became a struggle. On Instagram, she called it a forced deload and promised her followers she'd come back brighter than Swarovski. On Saturday, April 5th, 2025, CJ passed away peacefully at home with her family by her side. She was 54 years old. Her loved ones confirmed her passing had nothing to do with contest prep drugs and said she had gone to sleep happy and pain-free. 2 days later, her company's official page posted a black and gold tribute that read, "Heaven just added glam." The flood of love was immediate. Lee Priest thanked her for designing the only trunks that ever fit right. Derek Lunsford, a top Olympia competitor, wrote, "Your suits made us champions long before the trophies did." Within a single day, the tribute had more than 7,500 likes and inspired the viral hashtag #Shine4CJ. Lifters from Miami to Manila dedicated workouts in her honor. Throughout her career, CJ had handcrafted over 18,000 stage suits. Laid end to end, that's nearly 3 miles of fabric. Her final collection, shipped just a week before she passed, was lined with emerald green crystals, perfectly matching the green room curtain at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Her memorial was held on April 12th, under the Nevada sun, with temperatures hitting 85 degrees. More than 400 people came, everyone in gym black, with at least one thing sparkling. Some wore rhinestone necklines. Others glittered lifting belts or crystal pins. Her husband Joe closed the ceremony by lifting one of her seam rippers and saying, "She always told me, perfection isn't stitched. It's ripped and restitched until it feels like home." The crowd stood and applauded. It felt like a final call-out. Today, her brand lives on, led by her longtime apprentice, who now adds a tiny silver CJ tag to every single suit. Number 3. Luz Maria Barera Agaton. Luz Maria Barera Agaton brought a burst of color and strength to every stage she stepped on. She was born in Motul, a small town in Yucatan, where she grew up dancing traditional folk routines. But by her late 20s, Luz had swapped ribbons for resistance bands, and trophies quickly followed. She placed 4th in bikini at the 2017 Amateur Olympia in Spain and went on to win the Mr. Mexico bikini title that same year. She stood just 5 feet 3, weighed around 125 pounds, and carved out a stage presence that judges couldn't ignore. In 2021, Luz opened Golden Gym along Felipe Caricio Puerto Avenue in Mérida. Membership cost only about $25 a month, which meant anyone, farmhands, store clerks, or students, could train right beside her. She wasn't just a coach, she was a role model. As vice president of the Yucatan State Bodybuilding and Fitness Association, she mentored more than 60 teenage athletes and pushed them to believe that their bodies could be their power. By February of 2024, the city made it official. Luz was crowned Queen of the Motul Carnival. She paraded in a red sequined gown, striding across the same colonial plaza where she once sold homemade protein brownies from a cooler. The video of that night blew up online. Her Instagram reels pushed her follower count past 80,000 and landed her brand deals with a local whey protein company and a Cancun swimwear label. But behind the sparkle were signs of trouble. In May of 2025, someone hung a tarp outside her gym that said, "Cállate o pagas," stay quiet or pay. Luz didn't go to the police. When asked, she told reporters, "I'd rather flex than flinch." But her friends noticed changes. She quietly installed security cameras and began swimming at night to clear her mind. That new routine became her last. After midnight on Sunday, June 1st, she stayed behind in the cenote-style pool at Coco Resort and Villas, located about 25 miles northeast of Mérida. Around 1 in the morning, her cousins returned and saw her floating at the 9-foot deep end, unresponsive. Lifeguards and medics tried CPR for 15 minutes, but it was too late. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The water was 79 degrees Fahrenheit, warm enough to swim, but the pool was dark and still. Authorities listed drowning as the initial cause of death, but after learning about the earlier threats, they opened a homicide investigation. There was even confusion about her age. Police records said 32, but several local outlets reported 36, matching what she had on her private Facebook page. Either way, she was much younger than the average drowning victim in the U.S., which the CDC reports as around 51 years old, especially rare for a fit athlete who swam often. Inside the stone walls of Motul's cathedral, more than 400 people showed up to say goodbye. Some wore gym clothes, others wore contest heels, and everyone left a single crystal by her white coffin. the same kind she used to glue onto her posing suits. Evangelina Simei, president of AFE, promised that the next state championship would be named in Luce's honor and include mandatory hotel safety briefings for all competitors. Number 2. Pat Ugvu. Patience. Pat Ugvu brought the same unstoppable energy to every Nollywood set that she brought to the gym floor. Born on December 13, 1989, in Ichi, Enugu State, she was never one to take the easy route. After earning her bachelor's degree from the University of Abuja in 2014, she split her time between acting classes and early morning workouts that built the strong, confident body fans later nicknamed Sugar Girl. By the time she turned 26, she was already making waves in movies like Lack of Money, Port Harcourt Lady, and Twist of Fate, all while running her online coaching brand, Pat Fitness. From there, her at-home fat burn routines reached thousands of people during their quick lunch breaks. Her Instagram became a bright, bold celebration of strength, colorful sports bras, 8-rep deadlift sets, and behind-the-scenes movie clips. She made fitness feel possible, even when resources were limited. Brands noticed her, casting agents noticed her, and fans loved her ability to shift from comedy to action roles without ever dropping her 125-pound barbell. In interviews, Pat called weight training therapy you can count in reps, and that line stuck with so many young Nigerian women pushing back against constant body shaming online. Everything seemed lined up for a massive year ahead, until the early hours of Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Actor Emeka Okoye posted a funeral flyer on Instagram that said, "Rest in peace, sis Pat Ugwu, so we no get to work again?" The news hit like a shockwave. Actress Rita Edochie posted crying emojis. Destiny Etiko wrote, "Jesus, no!" And producer Kevin Mike asked God to stop this unusual death. Within hours, her tribute posts had drawn over 10,000 comments. Pat was just 35. A family spokesperson explained that she had gone to bed and never woke up. No official cause of death has been released. Autopsy records are still sealed, which has left people speculating, from sudden cardiac arrest to a silent aneurysm. But those closest to her insisted she had been healthy and clear-headed, even filming a new comedy just 2 days before. The heartbreak was deeper because she had buried her father in 2021 and had recently told co-workers she finally felt light enough to fly again. Her funeral was held on Friday, February 7th, back in her hometown of Ichi. Even under the 90-degree heat, the parish hall was full. Mourners read her favorite scripture, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8, and played a video where she lifted a 70-pound dumbbell above her head and smiled, saying, "Strength looks good on everyone." Outside, young girls in Pat Fitness t-shirts promised to finish her 8-week Fire Corps program as a tribute. Nollywood's Guild president, Emeka Rolas, has now pushed for mandatory yearly heart screenings for actors, especially since Nigerian film shoots can stretch past 18 hours in temperatures that sometimes hit 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 1. Cammy Lusco.
Cammy Lusco wasn't just a bodybuilder, she was a pioneer.
Cammy Lusco once lifted full-grown men overhead, not for applause, but to send a message loud and clear. Strength doesn't belong to just one gender. But when she passed away, most of the world didn't even know until months later. Born on April 5, 1958, in Los Angeles, she broke barriers from a young age. While still a student at UCLA, she made headlines by placing third at the 1979 Robbie Robinson Classic, a huge achievement for a woman in a sport that was barely beginning to accept female competitors. The next year, she stepped onto the stage at the very first Miss Olympia in Philadelphia.
Hello, everybody. Welcome again to Leave It to the Women. You remember that story about the 98-pound weakling who kept getting sand kicked in his face? None of us.
She placed 9th, but not because she lacked strength. Judges at the time openly favored a softer look. Cammy wasn't interested in fitting that mold, so she walked away from that spotlight, determined to redefine what power could look like for women. She found her calling in Olympic lifting. Training at a body weight of about 130 pounds, she stunned everyone in 1983 by one arm pressing a 131-pound dumbbell over her head. That lift made her the first woman ever recorded lifting more than her own body weight with one hand, a feat that was later recognized by Guinness World Records. That same year, she placed 2nd in the U.S. Women's Nationals in the 60-kilogram class. She nailed a 132-pound snatch and a 182-pound clean and jerk, for a combined total of 314 pounds. Even today, those numbers are no joke. They'd still hold up in most regional competitions. And Cammy wasn't just strong, she was electric. At guest appearances, she'd throw a 135-pound barbell overhead like it was nothing, then call up a 200-pound volunteer from the crowd and lift him too. She always ended her shows the same way, looking into the audience and saying, "Strength looks good on everyone, especially on you." By the late 1980s, she stepped away from competition, but never from the sport. She coached at Gold's Gym Venice, helped young girls build strength programs in high school, and spoke at corporate wellness events long before resistance training was trendy. Behind the scenes, she was also caring for her aging parents in Long Beach. After 2015, she mostly stayed out of the public eye. Her last seminar, held over Zoom during the pandemic, showed her at age 62 doing banded push-ups and cracking jokes about still outbenching her nephew. Cammy passed away at home in Long Beach on November 22, 2024. She was 66 years old. No cause of death was listed in the obituary from Rose Cremation Services. It simply said she passed peacefully, surrounded by love. Because she had stepped so far out of the spotlight, no one in the bodybuilding world noticed until early 2025, when a fan came across the obituary and posted it on Facebook. The tributes poured in. Rachel McLish, Dexter Jackson, and so many others called her a pioneer. Every time a woman picks up a barbell, claps her hands with chalk, and blocks out the noise, she's following the path Cammy Lusco carved decades ago. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.